Listen to the Burkinabe Minister of Internal Security, Divisional Commissioner of Police Mahamadou Sana announced the dismantling of a vast terrorist plot that was aimed at overthrowing Captain Ibrahim Traore's government before end of his 2 years in office. This is a revelation that the minister made in his address to the nation on the evening of September 23, 2024, an address in which he revealed that the August 24, 2024 Barsalogo terror attack was part of the plot by former Burkina government officials to use terror activities in order to cause chaos in the country and ultimately overthrow Captain Ibrahim Traore and his administration. And among those former government officials who are implicated in the plot are former President Paul Henri Damiba, whom Captain Ibrahim Traore overthrew in September 2022, former ministers Djibril, Bassolé and Alpha Barry, as well as former deputy mayor of Dori Aziz Diallo. The minister also pointed out that these destabilizers were getting the support of Western powers, established terrorist groups in the Sahel, some European mercenaries and military officers within the Burkina military such as Commander Yohani Compaoré and Colonel Zala. For several months, our intelligence services, in collaboration with those of the Alliance of Sahel States, have been closely monitoring a vast network of destabilization orchestrated from outside and whose internal ramifications threaten our national sovereignty. We therefore wish to present to you the facts that illustrate the scale of these maneuvers as well as the resolute actions taken to confront them. The Burkinabe public and the international community have been informed that individuals residing in the Republic of Côte d'Ivoire have been active in a subversion effort against our country. These actors of chaos, supported by certain intelligence services of Western powers, are made up of civilians of various profiles as well as military personnel and former military personnel who have left the national territory to participate in propaganda and destabilization operations. Thanks to the constant monitoring of their activities, we have been able to thwart several attempts at destabilization that are as pernicious as they are incessant. Faced with their repeated failures, these individuals who are 100 times behind have opted for yet another plan. This umpteenth plan consisted on the one hand of signing a contract with terrorist groups called the Centrals, and on the other hand, giving them specific training in the Central Zone for the capture of targets that were advised in their contract. They were to first of all carry out violent actions against innocent civilians and then secondly attack not only institutions of the Republic but also several other sensitive points. The first precursor attack of this operation was that of Barsalogo on the Saturday of August 24, 2024, which consisted of massacring the maximum number of civilian populations to create disarray and chaos within these populations and thereby shake the entire nation, thus facilitating the execution of the main action. The plan provided for the infiltration of several terrorist groups. The first group tasked with carrying out the main action from August 29, 2024, consisted of 150 terrorists from the Central East. They were to head towards the support zone and then head back to Ouagadougou with a view to taking the Presidential Palace 6 in Koulouba. The second group was to attack the military drone base to prevent any response from our forces. The third group from Ivorian territory aimed to carry out attacks in the Mangadara zone to disperse our fighting forces. Other groups were to target the airport to block any external reinforcements, including the landing of any friendly aircraft. During these investigations, our intelligence services were alerted to the restoration of 2 suspicious individuals without identity papers at a checkpoint at the entrance to the city of Niamey on August 29, 2024. After rigorous questioning, they revealed that they were accompanied by a certain Arkoshi who had already passed the 10th checkpoint. The latter was arrested later the next day, that's on August 30, 2024, at the Rimbaud station in Niamey while he was trying to escape, From the identity checks carried out, it turned out that the so-called Arkoshi is none other than Commander Ahmed Kinder, previously head of the Special Forces Corps. Normally supposed to be on training in Morocco, he turned out to be the head of operations for all these sadly planned attacks. The two suspicious individuals turned out to be in reality two terrorist leaders named Ousmane Abdoulaye and Mahamadou Idrissa. All these arrests helped to unravel a large part of the plot and to better understand the maneuvers aimed at destabilizing our nation. They were later transferred to Burkina. A special anti-terrorist operation was immediately launched in connection with these destabilization projects. Initial investigations revealed that this plot was orchestrated by Burkinabe nationals residing abroad, including Mr. Aziz Diallo, former mayor and deputy of Dori, currently working in the Central African Republic on behalf of an international organization. He is one of the alleged masterminds of this conspiracy. Under the codename Ahmed Le Centro, he is in contact with a terrorist group of the Islamic State in the Greater Sahara and UGS through one of his uncles based in the city of Dori. 2. Mr. Ousmane Moumouni Raouni Diallo, uncle of Mr. Aziz Diallo, former fighter of the EIGS and former coordinator of negotiations with the terrorist group under former President Damiba. 3. Mr. Aziz Dabo, former agent of the National Intelligence Agency ANR, who is on the run and known by the code name Lionel. 4. Mr. Abdoulaye Barry, known by the code name The Traveller. He is the link between the Western powers, the terrorists, and the military side. 5. A certain Serge Mathari, a Nigerian journalist of Ivorian origin representing The Traveller in Niger. He hosted Commander Ahmed Kinder on the night of August 29, 2024 to allow him to escape and was also to facilitate the infiltration of the entire commando in eastern Burkina Faso. Mr. Abdoulaye Barry had asked him to keep in front of him 4 satellite phones of Mark Touraya intended for the fatal operations. 6. Mr. Djibril Ipene Bassolé, former Minister of Foreign Affairs of Burkina Faso. 7. Mr. Newton Ahmed Barry, former President of the CENI. 8. Mr. Alpha Barry, former Minister of Foreign Affairs of Burkina Faso. 9. Commander François Zombrana alias Caesar. 10. Commander Herman Zongo, who provided information on the positions of air vectors and army movements. 11. Commander Joni Kombaure, former Director General of Senabel, who was looking for kamikaze drones. 12. Colonel Zala, working in the United Nations system in Central Africa. 13. Lieutenant Colonel Paul Henri Damiba alias the Patriarch, who leads the military aspect of this plot. 14. Lieutenant Colonel D. Romeo Woba, alias Rodriguez, who is the head of the operations center in Accra. 15. Several other officers outside the country on whom investigations are continuing. These destabilizers, in collaboration with accomplices inside the country, carried out massive disinformation actions and used occult practices to sow confusion and division. Several marabouts were consulted by Mr. Abdoulaye Barry, alias the Traveller, who was helped by Sergeant Master Kendano, alias Taylor, and former element of the Special Forces who will be arrested later by our intelligence services. The latter gave information to the enemy and was in charge of recruiting elements for the destabilization operations. He also contacted his father Marabout, well known in the Burkinabe area, so that he works to ensure that the infiltrations of the terrorists go very well. Following the arrest of Commander Ahmed Kinda alias Arkoshi and the two terrorist leaders, it was initially agreed not to disclose the information to allow our services to discover the full extent of the network. The intercepted communications revealed the involvement of several economic operators in the plot. Recordings of these communications will soon be released to the public in the coming days. Other civil society leaders participating in the exchanges via a WhatsApp group called IB Disentangle are also involved in this vast enterprise. Most of the planning meetings were held in Ghana in the Hashimoto neighborhood at the JD Lodge Hotel in Accra. Some other meetings were held in Kamali in the presence of Mr. Abdoulaye Barry, alias the Traveller, and Lieutenant Colonel D. Romeo Wuba, alias Rodriguez. In a second step, it was agreed that Commander Ahmed Kinda, alias Arkoshi, Sergeant Chief Tendano, alias Taylor, and the two terrorist leaders accompanied by one of our teams show the storage site of their equipment and various materials. This place under the guard of the terrorists in the pay of the commander was located not far from the city of Tankodogo. Once there, they tried to escape, but exchanges of fire followed during which they were neutralized in addition to several other terrorists. The other destabilizers, far from abandoning their finesse enterprise, decided to refine a new plan, during a meeting which is set to be held in Nigeria on September 27, 2024. It will involve them recruiting new terrorists in addition to recruiting 500 mercenaries from a European country for large-scale attacks in Ouagadougou aimed at spreading terror. Still in their foresight, they decided to kill all those who would oppose their action, referring to the populations in the event that they revolted. Thus, to protect their families and loved ones from any reprisals from the population against them, they decided that each of them would exfiltrate their family and loved ones before the start of their operation. Thanks to the information gathered, we were able to identify the participants planned for this upcoming coordination meeting in Nigeria, among whom should be 1. Commander Ahmed Kinda alias Arkoshi, 2. Mr. Abdoulaye Barry alias the Traveller, 3. The former Deputy Director General of the ANR, who was removed from the ranks of the National Armed Forces, Mr. Ouedraogo Sako, Lieutenant Colonel D. Romeo Woba alias Rodriguez, as well as people from this brother country that is Nigeria who are involved in this sinister enterprise. All were to join forces with Mr. Djibril Yipane Bassolé and certain elements of the Western intelligence services. With this proven information and in view of the extreme seriousness of these actions, it was decided to maintain the special operation in order to neutralize anyone who would try to sow chaos in our country. Firm instructions have been given to return to the Burkinabe Intelligence Service all the files initially brought before the courts in order to resume hearings. With the families and relatives of these terrorists, they are advised to denounce them, dissuade them from continuing on this destructive path and to formally abandon any subversive action. Recess is over. I repeat, recess is over.